Good morning, folks, and welcome to your Gallant Views morning news for Tuesday, the 23rd of July 2024. My name's Colin, and today another stellar lineup. First of all, we've got the ever-present Jack, becoming a regular on the pod, mate. Good to have you.
Aye, same. It's getting a bit familiar now, isn't it?
Aye, that's it. I'm glad we've done this year, Yaff. It's good to see you back, mate. And our returning favourite is Dino, guesting for the Rangers Journal pod. How are you, my friend?
I'm very well, thank you, buddy. How are you getting on?
All right, mate. Aye, all right. I mean, getting to the end of July, no seen one bit of sunshine, no seen one bit of hope for Rangers. So it's been a cracking summer, but so it's all good. But here we're starting our mornings the right way. Talk about Rangers. Let's talk about what happened early yesterday. Late morning, sorry. The third round qualifying draw for the Champions League was drawn, and Rangers will play the winner of Dynamo Kiev or Partizan Belgrade. So the ties are due to be played. The first leg will be either the 6th or the 7th of August, and then the return leg will be the following week, August 13th. So Rangers said the tickets and the dates will be confirmed in due course. Supporters shouldn't make any travel arrangements. I went and looked in the UEFA website, but UEFA confirmed that the first teams drawn out of the pot are at home first. So according to UEFA, Rangers will be away first, and they will play the return leg at home at Hampden. That sounds so weird, home at Hampden. First of all, Jack, we said yesterday that ideally we'd maybe be wanting FC20 or USG. So what's your thoughts on getting this tie?
It's obviously the one we said yesterday. We would have preferred not to get. Now we've got it, you need to start looking at it. I had a wee look at Kiev's squad yesterday. It's not the best, but I've got Yarmolenko back. So that's a top player. What level he's at now, I'm not so sure. I think they're favourites to win it because reading some things, it looks like Partizan are not in the best shape either. Whether they're in better shape than us at the moment or no, I don't know about that. But it's not the draw I really wanted, to be honest, at the moment. Now, that could change. Rangers could buy 3 players by the time this comes in. They're out in better shape. But I'd be surprised at the moment if we get through it. If it was Partizan, maybe 50-50, but I'd say Kiev probably would be favourites against us at the moment.
Dean, I'm probably the same thoughts, same line of thinking as Jack here. I think ordinarily either team would be, I'd be up for it, Giza, come ahead. But the Euro squad has to be confirmed by the 1st of August, which is only, it's only 9 days away, and that's probably what's giving me the fear. Rangers have got a lot of business to do in 9 days' time, and even then, there's no guarantee if we get somebody in the 31st of July and name them in the squad, like, will they be ready for this tie? That's probably what's giving me the fear.
Aye, it is. I think that's quite synonymous with the Rangers support because we are very weak at the moment, and going into the 1st of August with the squad that we have just fills me with absolute dread. And I believe that there's only a certain amount of replacements that you can make at certain points before the Champions League actually starts. So the crux of the squad has to be ready to go on the 1st. And if that's not the case, then it's going to be an absolute mess, isn't it? Because if you think about it, we're going to be signing players that are going to be, coming in and being first teamers, but then we've got to keep players because we've got to have a Champions League squad. That's the 2 sides of the coin. So there's going to have to be some serious wheeling and dealing between now and the 1st, in my opinion.
Well, let's go into the wheeling and dealing then, because that's the main stories this morning. Dean, we spoke about this yesterday about Connor Goldson apparently jetting off to Cyprus from Prestwick Airport. This really started with, this is Mappa, good friends of the Journal. they were speaking about it yesterday, and outlets both in Scotland and in Cyprus have been running with this, and it's really gaining traction. And most reports saying that Connor Golson's undertaking a medical. Now, there's a few curveballs getting reported that Nottingham Forest are out there doing a pre-season. The medical might be for there. A lot of Saudi clubs will do medicals in Cyprus. I think we can rule out Nottingham Forest. Connor Goldson isn't at Premier League level, if we're being honest. But it looks as if he is set to go. Do you see it being somewhere other than Nares Limassol that he'd be moving
to? Well, there is 80 plus teams doing their pre-season out in Cyprus, so I'll just hold back. But apparently there's somebody's came in and put investment into Aris, and they do have a lot of money to spend. And I think Connor's only going to go somewhere where his wage is going to be matched or higher. So I think we've got to take that into consideration. But the traction is coming from Aris. So I mean, I'm just happy for him to come off the wage bill. If I'm being quite honest with you, the fee nominal 1-2 million, that's fine. So I'm not particularly bothered where he goes, but there is a lot of teams out in Cyprus at the moment.
Jack, obviously yesterday you were saying about Connor Goldson, like on form, when he's on his form, he's our best centre-half. I do think, given the constraints we are working with for the Champions League, if this gets over the line, I do expect someone to come in pretty quickly as a centre-half. If all goes well between Goldson going and Tavernier going this week, that's a lot of money that we free up in wages to bring players in.
Oh, aye, definitely. What I'd be thinking is Dean said, I've heard there's a lot of teams out that part of the world doing some training that, so it could be anybody. Because apart from his kind of last couple of months at us where he was playing bad, it's not a bad player to get if in England or these teams, if they've got money to throw at it, somebody can maybe keep him up or do a job out in a league like Cyprus. So I don't think it's a move that I think it suits everybody to move that way. But we need to replace him right away. This can't be, and it's got to be the right guy, because it's all right saying he isn't what he was, but Goldson's one player in Rangers history that went into the team and settled right away. When he first went into Rangers, he looked like he'd been there for years. He was a leader right away, and I think that's going to cost money. And to get the right guy before we need to submit a squad, we really need to get this one right, because the defenders that are left behind are not the level to win as a league, never mind no look silly in Europe.
No, I totally agree with you, and I said yesterday as well, and I stand by it. I'm not going to be heartbroken when Connor Goldson goes, but I'm worried about the level of defender we have. So we even if Connor Goldson was to stay, we need an upgrade. In my opinion, for the defence, we need an upgrade in a lot of places. But it really does seem to be taking traction. Hopefully it's confirmed over the next day or two, and Rangers can start doing things. Same with you, Jack. Another story that's really been doing the rounds over the last 24 hours is Yanis Hagi is apparently agreed terms with Fiorentina. This has been reported by Romanian newspaper Sport Pacers. Sorry, nearly drowned in my own saliva trying to pronounce that there. So apparently he's ready to return back to his old club. Rangers and Fiorentina have just to agree a price. So this would be another one that frees up a fair amount of wages, Jack. Rangers should be looking for money for him because he's a very sellable asset, but at the same time, I hope we're not looking for over the odds.
If he wants to go, unfortunately, that somebody has to go right away, because you would probably get money in for him He's got a good reputation. When fit, he's been a good, important first-team player for us. Unfortunately for us, he got a bad injury. And by the time he actually got back into the team at the start of last season and looked all right, Michael Beale decided, I'll get rid of him. That obviously changed his kind of maybe mindset about where he wants to play football long term. I'm actually a bit gutted that he's not going to be with us because I thought that'd be somebody to come back in. The position he plays is exactly what we're lacking now, somebody from middle to front that can make things happen. But it's obviously time for him. He wants to move on. We need to do it for him. I think we have been good for him. He's been good for us when fit. It'll free up wages. I'd probably imagine you'd be looking at 3 or 4 million when you played at the Euros in that. I'm sad to see him go, but it sounds like it's going to happen. I don't think he's even reported back to us. I think we've been kind of wanting him to make this move to get the money in.
Obviously he had his break after going to the Euros, and then he went and got married as well. Congratulations to Mr. and Mrs. Hagi. But I'm the same as you, Jack. I'm a big fan of Yanis Hagi, and Dean, I'll get your thoughts on it. I just think we're going to need less number 10s and less flair players. I think we need to set up to be a bit more stable and solid. Having said that, we do need somebody who can kind of add that spark. I think Campbell will be away. I don't think Clement fancies him. I don't think Tom Lawrence is a player that we signed. So I would have thought Yanis Hagi would have been one to come in, and maybe somebody like Alec Lowry or a couple of boys who can come through. I will be sad to see him go. What's your thoughts on this story?
I think, it's best for him to move on, best for us for him to move on. Although we want a number 10, I don't think he fits a number 10 that Clement really wants. His athleticism, I think, is maybe going to let him down. Since his injury, he seems to have lost a bit of pace. Not that he had much to begin with anyway, but
he was never the quickest to begin with.
And you kind of need to be in our league, but I am gutted because as Jack said, his numbers were great first team player for us. One of the first names on the team sheet when fit, wasn't he? So, however, time to move on. If you think about it, him, Tav and Goldson, you're freeing up about 100 grand a week in wages. So that's massive. We can go and get, 4 or 5 players for that amount of money in wages alone. So if we do our business right, so I'm a massive Hagi fanboy, but there's no room for being sentimental anymore at this club. So it's time for him to move on for his own career and for the future of our club.
It's his attitude I loved, not just his ability. And I think he does have that aggression, that bit between his teeth. And I think we need more players like that. I think there's been a lot of spoke about the mentality and players who've been there for too long. And I do think I don't know if it's arrogant or determined or just confident in his own ability, but I think he brings that. And it would have been a good player to have around the club. But again, yeah, you're right, Dean. There's no room for sentimentality. We all think back to Braga and how good that was, but we need to trust in Clement that he knows the right type of player that he wants to move on and to bring in. I'm kind of loathed to go into this next story, but we're here to tell you the news. I'm kind of sick of this, man. It feels like it's been going on for years. But Jack, Lawrence Shankland is apparently back on the cards, according to the Daily Record. So when I say according to the Daily Record, make of that what you will. So Shankland going into the last 12 months of his contract. Apparently Philippe Clement is now interested. The listeners will know my thoughts on the Shankland deal. Be interested to get both your opinions on it. But to summarise mine, I agree he's an upgrade on Cyril Dessers. He's not as much of an upgrade for what we need, and I don't think he would justify the money. So it's no filling me with confidence. Do you have any different opinion, Jack?
I get what you mean. It wouldn't have been the upgrade when we were doing the rebuild under Beale right away, when Morelos and Cholak went. But we're not as good as we were then, and now he probably isn't upgrading what we've brought in since. It's going to be a good bit of money for him now, and it's a move that probably should have happened in January. You know, when we were having a discussion, I say, see, a Rangers and Celtic, whoever signs a striker that's probably going to score 10 goals is probably going to push him out of the league. And it didn't have to be anybody amazing, just had to be a good goal scorer. Celtic went and done that with Adamida. I would say Shankland's probably a level or maybe just a bit better than him. So it's not a guy that's going to like do it in Europe and send any fear into Kiev or Partizan Belgrade. But maybe his 15, 20 goals domestically could be massive for us this season if we buy him, because I'm not convinced we'll even do it.
Dean, what's your thoughts on this? I know over at the Journal, Scott bangs the drum. He is chairman, founder, and cheerleader of the Warren Shankland RSC. Like we've had many a ding dong on this pod, but if I'm trying to be balanced about it, do I think that Rangers potentially win the league if we sign Warren Shankland in January? I mean, there's every chance we're in a much better position. We don't throw away the silly games. I will accept that point, but again, I think for the money we spend, we need a more rounded striker this summer. What's your thoughts, Dean?
Well, I've been wanting Rangers to sign Lauren Shankland since the day that he left there. So I've been a massive fan of him.
Must be a Rangers Journal thing. That must be.
I think you sign Lauren Shankland, you win the league. He's doesn't matter what level he's played at, he's done it. He was one of the top scorers in the whole of Europe last year. He's not just an upgrade on Cyril Dessers, he's a massive upgrade on Cyril Dessers. He comes in with the chances that Dessers got last season. He's got 30, 40 goals last season, no bother, and that wins us the league. In terms of the last summer, we would have got him for around about the same money as we got Cyril Dessers, and not going for him in January, I think definitely cost us the league. But however, I don't even know if we had the money for Dessers, because there's all these sort of mitigating factors, isn't there? But we signed Lauren Shankland, we win the league, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm not fussed whoever he plays against. The chances that we create, he's clinical and he'll put them away for me.
So, Dean, I'll put this to you. Danilo, Igamani and Lauren Shankland, are those three strikers good enough for Rangers this season? Is that a good enough trio?
Maybe not entirely. We still don't know what Danilo's going to be like after his injury. So we'll have to sort of err on the side of caution with that, don't we? But I think if we sign another centre forward, it's going to be somebody that is maybe, I don't know, you're not going to be signing a fourth striker that's going to be fourth choice, are you? You'd maybe like to think that the pecking order would go with Egerman being fourth choice, because he's young and time to settle in, etc. So if we've got three strikers that are going to be, pushing for the number one spot at this moment in time, that's what you want. But then you've got to think about the Champions League qualification. We go into that with four strikers, albeit Lauren Shankland ticks the homegrown box for one of the four club trained players, but still four players in the Champions League squad does seem a bit heavy when you only play one.
True. I'm just thinking about the options we had last year, and I think part of the reason Dessers scored such a hard time is because there was nobody there. Came out of roof, and Danilo were sharing a bed in the Vicky, and we didn't really have MDL, so we do need options. And like we can't hang our hat on a Lauren Shankland. We both need to rotate. That's why I was asking about, are those three like combined good enough? Jack, I'll put you in the spot here. If Clement identifies Shankland as no, but he does improve his squad, and I do think I'm just a daft wee guy talking on a podcast, like, so what I think doesn't matter. Ultimately, it's what Philippe Clement thinks. So if he does want to go for him, how much should Rangers be paying for Lon Shankland? Bearing in mind he is 29-year-old, and he'll be 29 in August. Sorry. So he's not over the hill by any means. He's probably in his prime. We might not make money back on him, but he is in the last 12 months of his contract. How much would you be paying for him?
Well, Dean makes a great point about if he played for us last season, we win the league. Well, the chances we missed at Parkhead and Ross County, that's just 2 games off the top of my head, he wins his 8 games. That's invaluable. If he's there last year, we'd be making a fortune heading into Champions League. I think 3 million, I know there's a year left, I know some people say that's a lot and there's no sell-on. Winning games is bigger than having a sell-on value if it's getting you into the Champions League. It also, if you're winning a league because somebody's scoring goals, it raises the profile of players round about them to bring in more money. So I don't really care about what we'd make in Shankland because we wouldn't make much in a guy at that age. It would be similar like to when we brought in Rod Wallace and Billy Dodds, who were that age. We scored a lot of goals, improved the team round about us and got us into Europe and stuff. I think 3 million to just say to Hearts and now would get it talking anyway, and I'd probably go to about 4. I think he'd be worth that.
It's a good point about the making money on it, and I'm not just talking about Shankland here, but taking a step back. Any player we're looking at, we don't need to make money on every player. It's just the profits need to outweigh the losses in total. Whether that's a Kenny McLean or if we go and get an older, more experienced centre half off as Lauren Shankland, that Rangers transfer strategy won't make a break by not making money on one player. It's just the younger players and the players with potential we need to start making money on. It'll be interesting to see if we do get Lammers out of the door, if we get any money for Cyril Dessers, how much that frees up in terms of transfer fees and wages as well. And I wonder if that's maybe something that we're waiting on as well for Lawrence Shankland. Because I'd like to think if Tavernier and Goldson go, then we reinvest straight away in the defence. But then again, maybe if Goldson goes today, then we put a bid in for Shankland tomorrow. Dean, I'll finish up with you. Last couple of days we've been asking, I guess, what is the priority position? Because I've got a feeling that if Goldson goes, for example, we won't just replace a centre half. If Tav goes, we won't just get another right back. I think there's positions that Clement sees as a priority that he'll fill just as and when the money becomes available. For me, as a midfield and centre back, what's your priority positions that we need to fill straight away?
For me, I don't actually think that one position trumps another. I think there's priorities all throughout, and that spine needs reinforced. So, like you said, as long as the signings that are coming in for me are making that spine stronger, then it doesn't matter what order they come in. But I do feel that they're all as important as each other to get right, and to be able to have them in for the start of the season. That's imperative for me. So I'm like you. If Connor Goldson goes and we sign Shankland, that's fine. But the next person you have to sign does have to be a central midfielder or centre half, and so on and so forth. And then getting your right wingers in, and your replacement here and there. But for me, the leadership is needed on the pitch, and the strength in the spine. So that's, and as I said, in any order, for me, nothing is. I don't think any one position is more important than the other at the moment. They're always important.
No, as much as the politicians answer by saying they're all important, you do make a really good point. You do. Jack, you got any other take on it, or you kind of along the lines with Dean? It's just sort that spine out.
It's probably getting the spine and some quality into the team, and then what we're giving out needs to be replaced with better. I would argue if Shankland's coming in and Tavernier was to leave, that's the supply cut right away. So we need to get proper quality in that. Before Tavernier can go, we need to have quality in, or I wouldn't be letting him go. Whether Rangers fans like it or no, he's the only guy who can get the ball in the box, do an overlap, and pull a goal at Etna now. So until there's quality brought in after Goldson goes, I think we need to be careful on who we let go. If Hagi's going as well.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think we've got Ridvan Yilmaz, who's done it intermittently. He's not been consistent on the other side. We'll hardly go dynamism in the midfield right now. But you're right, as much as I do think it's the right time for Tavernier to go on, you can't, even his biggest critic can't argue that the amount of attacks that go through his side, whether he's creating it or he's involved or making an assist, is something that whether need to change the way we play completely or add in quality. But I think that'll do us for today, gents. We're just approaching the half-hour mark, so I will let you go. Just a shout out to the listeners. Thank you very much for listening. As always, if you can find us a like or a subscribe or a follow wherever you're getting your podcast. Tomorrow morning, we will have a show going out at 9 a.m, but it won't be a news show. It will be a slightly longer show, and I'm sitting down with the fan advisory board, Kelly and Fab, I think I'm speaking to. So we're going to talk all things fan advisory board and their dealings with the board. So that's something different for you tomorrow morning. That'll be up instead of the news. So hopefully by the time we're back on Thursday morning, we've got all these shiny new signings there ready to talk about. But all that's left to do is thank my two guests. First of all, Dean, always a pleasure having you on, mate.
Yeah, thank you, buddy, for having me on. Pleasure and privilege as always. And if anybody wants to watch any more of my face, go over to the Rangers Journal podcast on YouTube. Give us a wee like, share and subscribe, please, guys.
And why would you not want to go and see that happy face more often, eh? So go and head over and see the content at the Journal. And Jack, always a pleasure having you on, mate. Thank you.
No, thanks very much for having me on again. Hopefully, as you said, Thursday it's shiny new signings of good news, or it's talking about a doing in Birmingham after League One team. So,
absolutely.
We'll see. Yes.
It's a laugh this weekend. It's a laugh. So, hopefully we've got a Dessers hat-trick talking about on Thursday, as Jack says, or a couple of new signings. But until then, folks, have a cracking Tuesday, and we'll speak to you again soon. Take care.